Delighted to be here for a autumnal yoga class today. So we often will have blankets and pillows around, but today it's fluffy sock day, it's hoodie day, it's hot water bottle day. I just heard about a heated throw. Like literally, you can create kind of like a little nest of comfort for today. And I'd love for you to think of this class as a little bit like a buffet. So just like a buffet, there might be things that look delicious and things that look terrible to you. So feel free to pick and choose which bits you feel like your body would like today. And if you get to any part that you're like, feel free to skip or adjust it. I'll give some different options, but know that you don't have to take any of the options. This is really about you and your body today. And if anything takes away your breath, so if you're in a position but you can feel that, okay, I'm in it, just come out of it. Like today we're keeping this autumn comfort, we're keeping lovely, delicious and warm breath today. So we're going to start in a seated position. So if you like, you can take a couple of pillows or a blanket and roll it up so that you can come and sit on it. I think I'm going to sit on 2 pillows today. And we're going to come to just taking a moment just to settle. And closing your eyes here. So sometimes when we stop is when we feel things. So there might be like a little itch or a little scratch or a little shoulder that wants a bit of attention. So giving your body full permission to feel what it wants to feel. And full permission to adjust or move or wriggle as we move towards stillness. So sometimes it can be movement along the way. So moving towards stillness. And as your body starts to settle, this process, we've already started listening. We've already started adapting. We've really already started yoga. This process of tuning in, of seeing what's right for you today. And as we do that, we're going to start to focus on the breath. We're going to begin by just listening. Does our breath make any noise? What parts of the body move as we breathe in and breathe out? Maybe even what kind of breath would our bodies like to take? Is there a yawn coming up, a sigh? We're really listening or counting. How long is the inhale? How long is the exhale? When there is a lot going on in the world and a lot going on in our body, our breath often becomes more shallow as it gears our body ready for action, for movement. So we're going to see if we can send the breath down into the lower part of the stomach. Let your stomach fill up with air. And then let the breath slowly out of your mouth. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears as you exhale. So breathing in, letting your stomach expand. then letting your exhale come out, your shoulders just melt down away from your ears as you do. One more of these at your own speed, in your own way. And then very softly opening your eyes. We're going to change the cross of your legs if your legs were crossed, but no, your legs don't need to be crossed. You can sit like this. I've got some people really love sitting with their legs out straight. Some people think that's hideous. So you just find what feels good. But if your legs are crossed, we're just going to come to the other side. And for this, we're going to do some noisy breathing. So we're going to start. I like to use a prop. I use my hand for this. As if you were reading something that's a new bit of Beyonce gossip that's quite shocking, you might make the sound, fill in whatever gossip on your hand that you would like. So as you breathe in, there's a, and then imagining it's a mirror and you're going to fog up the mirror. So it's quite noisy. There's that gasp of delighted surprise. And then a fogging up the mirror. And you can even feel the heat of your breath on your hand. So we're going to build a little heat in the body since we're coming into autumn, little internal heat. And then towards the end of the class, we're going to allow ourselves to chill out, cover up with a blanket and get a little bit snuggly. So for building that heat, quite nice to sort of summon the breath. So we're going to make this really noisy breath one more time. Delighted, surprise, shock, and then fogging up the mirror. Do the same thing, but closing your mouth. It's a little bit like a movie villain breath. As if they were sort of summoning up the ocean. So you can even think of like quite a big, grand gesture that could be going along with it. So this big summoning breath and letting it go with that noisy exhale. Lovely. One more of those. Thinking of your best superhero villain. And letting it go. You might feel a little warmer already after that. So we're going to start with warming up the feet. So taking your cushions to the side, we're going to tuck the toes under for this. So this is again one of those positions that's going to be tailored for each of us. I personally find this quite challenging. So with the toes tucked under, we're sitting the hips back towards the heels. Yeah. Some people can sit like this for 5 minutes. I like to sometimes come forward and rest my fingers on the ground and then allow my hips to come back a little bit. You can come as far forward, as far back as you like, that feels good for your feet. Once you're in the position that you like, you're going to take a nice big summoning breath in. So letting your stomach expand as you breathe in, and then making that soft noise to yourself. Sounds a little bit like Darth Vader. And then just notice the change in your body when you make that breath. You might feel like things feel a little bit more in control. Sensations might change. Then gently come forward and softly pat your toes against the ground. Your feet should be feeling quite warm now. So gently, I didn't realize I was going to be quite as close to the plant. I feel like I'm in the undergrowth over here. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to turn around this way. So coming into a table position. So for this, your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips. But that doesn't feel right on everybody's wrists. Sometimes people like to be in a fist position, and sometimes this just doesn't feel nice at all. If you have a sofa or something like a chair nearby, you can also rest. You can come to, let me show you an alternate. So if this on your hands is quite hard, if you have a chair, you can do the same thing, same movements from this position. So whether you're at the chair or do that, or down on the floor, we're going to softly breathe in, let your stomach expand, your chin lift up. And then exhale, round through your back. Inhale, coming forward, and maybe using that quite noisy villain breath. You come forward. Exhaling as you round back. And then taking your time to really enjoy this movement. Maybe take a little bit longer. Slowing it down, so really enjoying the range of movement that you have today. Whether it's a smaller movement, whether it's a larger movement. And then gently moving your hips a little from side to side. And again, just enjoying what you're feeling. And we're searching for the things that feel delicious. So if something doesn't feel right, we just want to stay away from it. And from here, you're going to tuck your toes. Actually, it's a good time to take those lovely socks off here, just so there's no slipping. We will be coming back to the socks though. Don't worry, they'll come back later. We're going to tuck our toes, lift our hips up towards the ceiling to come into a down dog. If you are using a chair, you can do the same thing coming back into a very similar shape here. So I'm going to move that once again out of the way. Once you're in the down dog, take a nice big summoning breath, imagining the breath now going all the way down into your feet that were warmed up, and then exhale it out of your mouth. Slowly bring your knees down to the floor, bring your toes together, and let your hips come back towards your heels. So we're coming into a child's pose here. Your head can come down to the floor. If your head lifts up, you can take your hands and support your head here. I'm going to take a nice deep breath here, imagining the breath now going down into the feet. And then exhale out of your mouth. As you inhale, coming up to table. As you exhale, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale, come back to table. Exhale, move back to child's pose. If that feels nice. So check in with your body, check in with your breath. If it doesn't feel nice, pick one position that you like and you can stay in that position, or you can come out of them. If it feels quite nice to flow, then we'll move through one more flow here. Inhale, coming up to table. Exhale, lifting your hips up to the ceiling, coming back into a down dog. Inhale, moving back to table. Exhale, knees come a little wider, move back into your child pose. And softly come back into table. Lift up into down dog. And then walk your feet forward or your hands back and coming into a forward fold position. So in a forward fold, have your knees really bent here. Yeah. And if you find that here it feels as far as you would like to go, that's totally fine. Hold onto your body and see if you can create a structure so that your head and your shoulders can relax. So use your arms if that feels nice, so that you have a little bit of softness along the top of your spine, your neck, and your shoulders. Maybe some of you might want your hands down towards the ground. And just finding where your forward fold is today. Take one more breath here. Let that breath, imagining it going into your feet. And then doing that noisy villain breath out. And notice how you feel when you did that breath. Inhale, take your hands now to your thighs. Extend your spine. So getting long through your spine here. Look down towards the ground. Bend your knees again and folding back into that forward fold. And then gently rolling up through the spine here, walking your hands up until you come up to standing. Your head is the last thing to come up. I'm just going to do a little angle here. And from here, finding your feet on the ground. So one of the ways to sort of find your feet is to think about your toes melting into the floor, and then think about your heels melting in, and then thinking about the outer edge of your feet, and then the inner edge. What you might notice is as you move around, different parts of your shins or your calves or your thighs start to move, or muscles start to be engaged in different places. So now we're going to sort of use a bit of imagination, becoming aware of the arch of your foot. You're going to imagine there's a line from the arch of your foot going all the way up to your inner thighs, and imagining that as we're standing, it's helping you support your lower stomach and the base of your spine. So kind of thinking about almost, so thinking of that like summoning breath. So imagining, okay, I hadn't intended to go down the superhero, supervillain route, but we're here. But if you were that character, that you were summoning the power of the earth and it was going to rise up through your body. It's a little bit what we're creating, that sensation. So imagining the toes going into the floor and they're sucking up the energy and security of the floor. It's coming up the inside of the thighs, coming into the lower part of the stomach, and then we're just enjoying it as the arms go wide and up, fingertips touch. And then exhale, bring your hands down, heart center. So we're going to do that a couple more times. So thinking of that breath, you can make it as noisy as you like. So inhale, swooping wide, thinking of the floor and that power from the floor rising up through the body, and then exhaling it out. One more of these. Inhale, swooping wide, coming up. You can look up towards the sky and then exhale, hands come down, heart center. Lovely. One more of these. Inhale, swooping wide. If it feels good, bend at the knees, hinge at the hips, and come down slowly into your forward fold. Relax your neck and your head here. Always have the options of your hand on your thighs. And then inhale, lengthen, halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees and flow down back into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthening your spine, relaxing your shoulders. You can smile down at the floor. And then exhale, coming down. This time, if it feels good, you can roll up or swoop your arms wide. Plant your feet into the ground. Come all the way up. Hands come together. Exhale, heart center. So we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to use that surprise fogging breath and just see how it makes you feel. If it doesn't feel right, breathe normally, do whatever kind of breath that you like. It's a buffet. If it doesn't feel good having your head over for any reason, you can stay and do this one up here. So know that you can really just pick the bits that you like today. But if it feels nice, and then think about rooting into the ground, rooting into the earth underneath us. Imagine drawing up the energy of the ground as you breathe in, arms go wide. Exhale, bend your knees and folding forward, exhaling out. Inhale, hands come to thighs, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, bend your knees. Go back into your forward fold. Inhale, think about your feet. Swoop the arms wide if that feels nice. Come all the way up as you inhale. Exhale, hands come down, heart center, and just stay here for a moment. Listen to your breath and see how it's feeling. And just seeing if you're feeling a little bit warmer now. Built up a little inner heat. And then we're going to take this hand behind your back and have a look at your other hand. So just bringing it down in front of you. And we're going to, as you inhale, come up. And then as you exhale, look at your hand. We're coming into a twist and a shoulder opener here as your arm goes behind and down. But this circle, you can make it any shape that you want. So if you like, you could take a smaller circle. So know that you can adapt this. Inhaling up, exhaling back, and we're just looking for deliciousness. Last one. Coming forward. And then just enjoying whatever circle is here today. And then relaxing. Take a moment, relax both hands down by your side. You might close your eyes here and just see if that shoulder feels different. If it feels warmer or lower. And then gently taking your hand to the other side. So when there is a lot going on with us, it's not just our breath that reacts to that, but all the muscles and often around the shoulders as we're dealing with uncertainty, things can get quite tight around here. So this circle is a really lovely way to move around the shoulders. As you come up, turn your little finger towards the back of the room. So it's like you're carving out a shape of your choice as you come around and down. And if you like, you can close your eyes. And the bits where you feel maybe a little bit of click or a little tightness, you can slow down and then adapt. See if it feels nourishing or if you'd like to move and make it a little bit more comforting and calming. So gently inhaling for the last one on this side, you come up. And then exhaling back. Lovely. And then just doing a nice roll of the shoulders here, coming up and around, and in keeping with this kind of dramatic breath that we're doing, we're going to do a nice dramatic shoulder roll. Yeah. So if it feels nice, you can get your shoulders involved. You can move a little forward, a little back as you do it. So this is just looking for nice sensation. And then coming back to planting your feet. Have them for this hip width distance apart again. Refinding the feet, so the toes, the heels, the outer edge, the inner edge. Find the arch, finding it almost as if it's scooping up. Feeling that scoop happening up into the lower abdomen. So it's gently lifting here. And as it lifts, it then supports the lower back. Lovely. From here, I'm going to take your arms wide. Inhale here. Keep thinking of your feet. Keep thinking of the arches. Keep thinking of that engagement going up into the lower belly. And then maybe lift your heart a little up towards the ceiling. Maybe not. We're just seeing how this feels. But keep thinking of your feet. And then gently bring your hands forward and coming up. Lovely. So we can do that one more time. So what we're doing is we're really creating security through the lower part of the body, and then creating a little bit of freedom in the upper part. So one more time for this, finding your feet, swooping wide, lifting your hands up. And as you inhale, thinking of the feet, maybe lift your chest. Thinking of your lower belly, lifting it up. Exhale here. And then inhale to come back up. And exhale, hands come down, heart center. Lovely. So now we're going to bring the feet together to touch. If you feel like this feels a little unstable, you can always stand where there's something to hold on to. So we're coming into a pose called chair. You can also come to sit in a chair if you would like for this. So whether it be a real or imaginary chair, we're lifting the arms up. We're gently letting the hips go back. Find your feet on the ground. Find that lift of the lower belly here, as if the floor was holding you here. And then maybe lift through the chest just as you did in the last one. Yeah? Anyone feeling warm yet? Lovely. One more breath here. And then gently come up and let the arms come down. Really nice job. I could see you. That looked great. So we're going to do one more of these. So finding your feet, finding the chair. Like I said, you can actually come down and rest on the edge of a chair or sit down on a chair and do the rest with your hands. When you're there, you're thinking of the arches of your feet, thinking of that scooping happening into the lower belly. Then the arms come up. Maybe sit a little deeper. Hello, keep thinking of your toes. Keep thinking of your feet. You can smile it out. And then take one of those big, badass supervillain breath. See if it helps make you feel in control. And then as you inhale, gently come up. and come out. Ooh, nice job, nice job. So you can do a little movement from side to side here if you like. So you can put your hands on your hips, take your feet a little bit wider, and let's do just like a little hip circle here. So there was a period of time my hips were so tight, and I remember doing this in a class, and just see if you can slow it down a little bit. And I got so much relief from this movement, but then I found that I started doing it even when I didn't mean to do it, and caught myself at a bus stop. So just to forewarn you, and then gently come around the other way. But it feels so good. I had so many things that were aching at the time, and you can really make this circle as big or as small as feels good, feels right today. And then gently come through center, relax the arms, bring your feet back to hip width distance, swoop the arms wide. Exhale, dive into your forward fold. Then take your fingertips to your thighs, lengthen your spine for a halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees and fold again. And then gently place your hands down on the floor. Come back to table position. You can either stay here in table or take another down dog. See which one you like. And then gently finding your way down to a child's pose. So knees are wide. I'm gonna adjust here. Knees are wide. And we're coming down. And gently finding your way back up. I promised comfy socks would come back. So this is a time to pop them on. So we've created a little warmth, a little heat in the body. And now we're going to allow the body to chill out. So the reason that we use the expression chill out is literally because when we are in an active response, our body is geared up for movement. So it sends blood down into our extremities, into our hands, our legs, and everything. And when we chill out, it starts to send the blood flow more into our center, into our internal organs to do its little jobs around the body, which is why we are cool when we're chill, quite literally. And that's why it's also nice to have like a blanket or a cover or something, because we will get a little bit cooler here. So we're coming onto our backs with 1 or 2 cushions nearby. Move those out of the way for a moment. And just take a moment to let your feet come a little wider than your hips. Rest your knees onto one another. And then just let your breath do anything it wants. That's a sigh, a yawn, any length that it wants to do. So we're just allowing the body to settle, much as we did right at the beginning of class. Any little movement we can do. And noticing what it feels like to rest for a moment. Maybe noticing the little changes in your body. And then we're going to place our feet now down on the ground, hip width distance apart and fairly close to the hips. And from this position, allowing the feet to move into the floor to lift up the hips, and then let the hips settle down onto a cushion or a pillow. So now your hips are slightly elevated. And see if it feels really nice for the base of your spine to relax here. And maybe this is a good spot to stay in, or if you like, you can take an additional pillow. This is where sometimes you get a little bit creative. You might even fold a pillow up. You might go up onto your toes to get a little bit more height, and then come down onto the second pillow. But staying with the first one, it all works. It's all doing the same thing. There's no hierarchy of how high the pillows or the cushions are. It's just what feels nice, what's to hand. And if you like, you can place a cover over you here. And again, if it feels good, you might extend one leg down and long. And maybe you feel a little bit of a stretch through the front of the hip. If it feels nice and sort of nourishing and you fancy more of that, you might extend the other one down. If at any point you're thinking, I don't really like that very much, you can rebend. You might reshuffle the cushions, you might revisit it, you might not. So we're sort of training our brains to find comfort, find support, and make it unique. So these are things that are lovely about yoga and about finding ways that we can take it off the mat with us. We're training our brain to allow for comfort, to allow for support, to allow for rest. Be incredibly beneficial. If you like, you can bring one arm over your head, see if you like that. Maybe the other one, maybe not. Maybe just one arm up and over, maybe not. So we're holding this a little bit longer to allow the body now not to be sort of summoning and scooping up the security from the ground, but rather to softly rest into it. And finding comfort is something that becomes harder when we are more stressed out. So as a yoga teacher and massage therapist, I'm acutely aware of how certain positions in the body, like this one, can calm us because our heart is higher than our head, and how the body thinks, well, we wouldn't do this if we weren't in a safe spot. So it slows the heart rate down. And there's certain positions that really signal to the body that everything's okay. And yet when life is tough and challenging, I often seem to come to on a sofa or on a chair, and I'm twisted and tied up in a knot with my shoulders up around my ears. Stress, uncertainty can release adrenaline, which stops our ability to become more in tune with the body. We almost become numb. And that's not, it's just the body trying to help us. It's not right or wrong. But what we can do is recognize it when we come to and we're like, why is my shoulder literally on the top of my ear? Why am I here? What can I do now? How can I adjust? How can I listen to what my body needs? How can I make it unique to me, to right now? So it is this yin and yang, movement and rest. If your legs are outstretched, slowly bending them. If your arms are overhead, gently bringing them down by your sides. Gently press down into your feet, lift up your hips, and then take the cushions out to the side. And if it's nice, go up onto your toes and then slowly come down vertebrae by vertebrae onto the floor. Take your feet wide again, let your knees rest onto one another. Take your hands, maybe rest them on your stomach, and just see how you're feeling now. Seeing how you're breathing now. And we're going to take one cushion to each side. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together. And there's a few different ways you can do this. You can fold the pillow to make it a little bit higher and wedge it sort of in up by the thigh. Or you might feel like it feels nice to have it a little further away and resting more towards the knee. So taking your time just to find what feels good. And know that even though we've done this position before, it might feel different this time to previous times. This is a lovely position to do, so speaking of like bubbles of comfort, with a hot water bottle on your abdomen here. So finding ways to soothe the body. Now, this is all unique, right? Because for those of us in menopause, sometimes as we relax, that's when hot flushes come, and hot water bottles seem like a hideous idea. So just know that all of that can be tweaked, and if you prefer an ice pack nearby for when you're relaxing, you can do that too. But it's taking this time to see what it is that we need. Do we get cold? Do we get hot? What makes our body feel like, yes, that is perfect? And slowly draw your knees up towards each other. And then take the cushions now underneath your feet. So keeping your knees bent, you're just gonna bring the cushions underneath your feet. And take a moment just to find that. And then take your right ankle and place it on your left thigh. And then maybe just let that knee rest away from you. So your right knee is resting out to the side. There's a slight flex in your foot, but just relax your toes. You can give them a little wiggle. And if it feels nice, bring it in towards you, clasping your hands around the back of your left thigh. That seems like not a nice idea for today. Just keep it rested onto the pillow or the cushion. And then softly uncrossing. Bring your knees in towards you. You can do a little side to side. Place your right foot down, left ankle over. Find that little flex of your foot. Gently let the knee melt away. Taking a couple of breaths here, tuning into the side. How does it feel? What does it like? Do you want your knee in on this side? Do you not? And then taking the time to listen and see if you want to take your hands behind your thigh or if you don't. So staying here, another movement. And then gently uncrossing. Bring both knees towards you. You can softly go from side to side. And take one pillow back on each side of you. So you can kind of just scoot it across with your feet if that feels good. We're gonna rebend the knees, feet roughly hip width distance apart, and then we're going to do a little shimmy to the left. Extend your right foot long. Take your right hand to your right knee. Have the pillow nearby. So as your left knee goes over to the right, you might take the pillow and prop it underneath the knee or the shin or the foot here. Your left hand can be down by your side, out as if you were creating a T shape, or it can be up and overhead. So you can see what feels nice, what feels good. So coming into a supported twist here. And often it's really nice to give that support, even if your knee very easily comes down to the ground. And sometimes we don't need to go into the full extension of our flexibility. Sometimes the body can settle and open even more when we come back a little from our edge and find our comfort. Taking one last breath of your choice here. It can be a sigh. It can be a yawn. It can be an that came out. It can be a giggle. It could any breath that you like. And then gently on an inhale, come up through center. Bend both knees. Take both knees up towards you. Move a little from side to side here. And then just have your pillow ready for the other side. If you wish your pillow was higher on one side, then take your pillow over to the other side and make it higher. And we're always looking for that adaptation. Rebend the knees, feet on the floor, do a little scoot of the hips to the right, this time extending the left leg down. Lift your right knee up, bring it over to the left, and guide it with your left hand. Rest it. Oh, that feels so nice with the double pillows. That's a good way to go. And just let the knee come over. The right hand can be down, out in a T, or up overhead. And finding your comfort here. Finding that rest. Finding the sensation. Noticing how your body feels. We're not screening for the good or the bad, but just letting any sensations come forward to make themselves known. And see how your body responds to that. Coming into a last breath on this side. Breath of your choice. You can do the amalgamation of the sigh, yawn, the giggle, anything that lets all that air out. On an inhale, come up through center. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Just move a little from side to side. And then place your feet down onto the ground. So for this one, we're going to want, if it feels, I think we definitely need something cozy for the end. So I'm going to take, it's like a towel that seems more like a blanket, but it can be a blanket, it can be a real blanket, a real towel, whatever feels good. And bring it over your body here, and take one or two pillows and place it underneath your thighs. If you have another pillow and you want one behind your head, that feels good. But just to know, like, everyone's really different. Even when you're lying on the floor, everyone's chin is in a slightly different place. So whether or not you want a pillow is completely unique to you. Then extend your legs over the cushions. And then at this point, you can either bring your blanket down a little bit lower, or if it feels good, you can snuggle underneath it. Once again, take your time to shuffle, to do any little adjustments as you move towards stillness. If you like, you can even take a sleeve of something or a piece of material and put it over your eyes here. So we're in our final rest, our Shavasana. I'm going to stay in this position. Allowing ourselves to really feel the ground underneath us, as if we were absorbing its security, its certainty. And then allowing ourselves to feel all the bits of comfort we've put in place. Our socks, our blankets, our cushions, our pillows. So in our practice today, we've moved and we've rested. And this is the time where our body gets to absorb all the benefits of that. This time of doing nothing is some of the most powerful as that supervillain breath is. Conjuring is equally as powerful as just letting our breath be, letting our shoulders relax, letting the space in between our eyebrows feel as if it's being smoothed out. Our body takes this as a sign that it can focus on some of its repair work. It can start to change what chemicals are being sent out, change our hormones, change our steroids. So all the little messages around the body start to change, and we get to just be. Very slowly, just taking your thumb and bringing it over the tips of your fingertips. Feeling the ridges. And maybe do a little wiggle of your fingers, a little wiggle of your toes. Maybe do a little circle with the wrists. Maybe point your toes and maybe take a stretch or a sigh or a yawn here. And then slowly bring your knees into your chest. You can roll to one side. And then really taking your time, once you're on your side, to think about the most supported way that you could come up. So using your hands and gently coming up to a comfortable seat. And bringing your hands to your heart center. And just feeling the heat of your hands. Notice how you're feeling now. And just, feeling maybe like a badass for one, doing such a kick-ass supervillain impression, but two, for taking what can sometimes be quite a radical journey to be with your body, to listen to your body, to adapt to it, to honor its uniqueness. So just acknowledging yourself for that today. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the day and stay nice and warm and cozy.